Whew. I don't know about you, but that Texas Vanderbilt game,
Yeah.
it was a little too close for comfort.
Definitely closer than anyone expected.
Right, like I was on the edge of my seat the whole time, and I know a lot of Longhorn fans probably felt the same way.
I think it's safe to say that it wasn't the dominant performance that many were anticipating.
Yeah, and today we're going to take a deep dive into this game using a really insightful post-game analysis we found from Burnt Orange Nation.
It's a great blog, by the way, for any Longhorn fans out there.
Yeah, they always have the inside scoop, and
Yeah.
we want to go beyond just the box score and really try to understand, like, why this win felt more like a sigh of relief than a celebration.
That's a good point.
So, what does this game tell us about the Longhorns as they head into their bye week?
It's an important question because one game doesn't define a season.
True.
But this one did highlight some concerning trends, especially when you consider last week's performance against Kansas.
Okay, so let's start with those offensive line struggles that Burnt Orange Nation keeps highlighting.
Right.
I mean, 3 first downs and 33 yards wiped out by holding penalties alone.
Yeah.
Not to mention defenders in Ewers' face all night.
Yeah, and what's fascinating here is that those holding penalties weren't just isolated incidents. If we look back, we see a similar story against Oklahoma where 2 potential scoring drives were killed by those same flags.
Yeah.
This consistent pressure on the offense forces them to play from behind the chains and disrupts any rhythm they're trying to establish.
And this isn't just an off week for the offensive line, is it? This seems like a recurring theme.
Exactly, and it begs the question, is this a personnel issue, a coaching issue, or some combination of both?
Yeah.
It's something for the coaching staff to really dissect during the bye week because right now it's putting immense pressure on the defense to constantly bail them out.
Speaking of the defense, they were put in some seriously tough situations.
Oh, yeah.
The article pointed out that Vanderbilt's first 17 points came from drives starting in Texas territory.
Yeah, they were constantly on their heels. And yet they still managed to come up with some incredible plays, forcing those turnovers and getting those crucial 3 and out.
They were definitely playing hero ball.
Yeah, but for how long can they realistically sustain that, While the offense struggles to find its footing, there's a fatigue factor that comes into play, and eventually it's going to catch up with them.
It's like they say you can't win championships with one side of the ball carrying the other,
Yeah.
It has to be a team effort.
And that's where the concept of complementary football becomes so crucial,
Right.
It's not just about offense or defense playing well. It's about them working in sync, feeding off each other's success.
Right.
And that's been noticeably absent in the Longhorns game 2 weeks in a row now.
Okay, so we've got offensive line woes putting pressure on the defense.
Mm-hmm.
But there's another layer to this, right? The article also highlighted those missed opportunities, those those what-if moments that could shifted the game entirely.
Yes, those 2 turnovers the defense created that the offense failed to capitalize on. Those are prime examples of how one missed opportunity can cascade into larger problems.
Yeah.
Imagine the momentum swing if even one of those turnovers had been converted into points.
Right.
It changes the entire complexion of the game.
So what's the psychological impact on both sides of the ball when these missed opportunities keep happening? Like the offense starts to doubt themselves. The defense feels like they're carrying the weight of the world.
Yeah.
It feels like a negative feedback loop that could be tough to break.
Precisely. And this, I think, is where that lack of complementary football becomes most evident.
Right.
The defense is making plays, but the offense isn't capitalizing on them.
Right.
There's a disconnect, a lack of synergy that's preventing them from reaching their full potential.
So the question becomes, how do you fix that? How do you foster that sense of complementary football, especially with a tough schedule looming?
Well, that's what we'll explore as we dive deeper into this analysis, because it's one thing to identify the problems, but it's another to understand the solutions.
Yeah, it feels like they're kind of at a crossroads right now. Like, do they keep relying on individual brilliance, or do they finally find a way to click as a unit?
Well, this bye week couldn't have come at a better time.
Right.
It's a chance for the coaching staff to hit the reset button, to really address these underlying issues before they snowball into bigger problems.
But where do you even begin to fix something like this? I mean, it's not like they lack talent, so what's the missing ingredient?
Well, it's about maximizing that talent.
Mm-hmm.
It's about getting all the pieces working together in harmony.
Right.
And that starts with addressing those offensive line woes.
Mm-hmm.
If they can't protect Ewers and create running lanes, the offense will continue to sputter, putting even more pressure on the defense.
But isn't this offensive line supposed to be one of the strongest in the SEC? Like, what's going wrong at a fundamental level?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Are there technical issues in their blocking schemes? Are they struggling with communication and assignments? Are they simply being outmatched physically by opposing defensive lines?
Right.
These are all questions that the coaching staff needs to analyze and address during this bye week.
So it's not just about drawing up new plays. It's about figuring out why the current ones aren't working and making the necessary adjustments.
Exactly. They need to identify the root cause of the problem rather than just treating the symptoms. And that might involve some difficult conversations, some honest self-reflection from both the players and the coaches.
Because even if you have the best players in the world, if the plan isn't working, it doesn't matter.
Right.
You need both talent and D execution to succeed at this level.
Absolutely. And let's not forget about those missed opportunities.
Right.
Those turnovers the defense created were golden chances to shift momentum and give the offense some breathing room.
Yeah.
They need to find ways to capitalize on those game-changing plays.
It's like they're leaving points on the field. And against tougher opponents, those missed opportunities could come back to haunt them.
Precisely. In a close game, every point matters. Every possession matters. They need to develop that killer instinct, that ability to seize those moments and turn them into points.
So it's not just about fixing the X's and O's. It's about instilling that mental toughness, that belief that they can execute when it matters most.
It's about fostering that synergy between offense and defense, that sense of trust and confidence, that they're all working together towards a common goal.
Right.
That's what complementary football is all about.
It's like a well-oiled machine where every part is working in sync to create something greater than the sum of its parts.
And right now, the Longhorns are still figuring out how to assemble that machine. This bye week is their chance to tighten those bolts, to fine-tune those gears, to ensure that every component is operating at peak performance.
Because when they come out of that bye week, they'll be facing a gauntlet of tough opponents.
Right.
The margin for error will be slim.
If they can harness that potential, if they can turn those flashes of brilliance into consistent complementary football, they have a real shot at making a deep run. But if they come out looking the same as they did against Vanderbilt, then those close wins could easily turn into losses against tougher competition.
Yeah, the SEC is unforgiving.
They need to prove that they can learn from their mistakes, that they can make the necessary adjustments to elevate their game to the next level.
It's like they snuck out of Nashville with a win, but also a whole to-do list for the bye week.
Yes. It wasn't just a win, it was a revealing win. It exposed their vulnerabilities, but also hinted at their potential. And that's what makes this so intriguing. We get to see how they respond to this adversity, how they evolve and adapt as a team.
That's the beauty of these deep dives, right? We're not just getting the headlines. We're peeling back the layers and understanding the nuances that drive success or failure at this level.
Exactly. We're analyzing the trends, the decision-making, the psychological factors that often go unnoticed but have a profound impact on the game. And that brings us to a crucial question for our listeners.
So if you were Coach Sark right now, walking into that locker room after that Vanderbilt game, what would be your top priority? Like, what's the one thing you would focus on fixing first?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? I mean, there are so many areas that need attention.
Right.
But if I had to pick just one thing, I would say it would be fostering that sense of unity and trust between the offense and the defense.
Okay.
Building that complementary football mentality where each unit understands its role and feeds off the other's success.
Because right now it kind of feels like two separate entities, you know?
Exactly. And that disconnect is what's preventing them from reaching their full potential.
Right.
Like, imagine if the offense knew that the defense had their back, that even if they made a mistake, the defense would come up with a big play to keep them in the game. And imagine if the defense felt confident that the offense could capitalize on the turnovers they create, that they wouldn't be left stranded on the field time and time again.
Right.
That's the kind of synergy that wins championships.
It's like a ripple effect, right?
Yeah.
Where one positive play inspires another, and suddenly you have this unstoppable force.
Precisely. And it all starts with leadership. Coach Sark needs to rally his team to instill that belief that they're all in this together, that they can achieve great things if they work as one.
Yeah.
And it's not just about the coaches. The players need to step up too.
Right.
The leaders on both sides of the ball need to hold each other accountable, push each other to be better, to create that culture of excellence.
Because talent alone won't get you there.
No.
It takes heart, it takes grit.
Yeah.
It takes that unwavering belief in yourself and your teammates.
And that's what I'll be watching for as the Longhorns emerge from this bye week.
Yeah.
Will we see a different team? A team that plays with more fire, more passion, more unity? That's the question that will determine their fate this season.
It's a make or break moment for them.
Yeah.
They can either rise to the challenge or crumble under the pressure.
And that's the beauty of sports, isn't it?
Yeah.
The unpredictability, the drama, the constant ebb and flow of momentum.
Keeps us on the edge of our seats.
It does. It keeps us wondering what's going to happen next.
Absolutely. So for all you Longhorn fans out there, what's your prediction? Will they find that missing ingredient and make a run for the championship, or will they continue to struggle with inconsistency? Let us know your thoughts on social media using #TheDeepDive.
Yeah.
We'd love to hear your perspective.
Because every fan has a unique perspective, a different way of seeing the game. And that's what makes these conversations so enriching.
Right.
It's not about being right or wrong. It's about sharing our insights and learning from each other.
Exactly. And who knows? Maybe one of you out there has the key insight that unlocks the Longhorns' true potential. Until next time, folks, keep learning, keep questioning, and hook 'em horns.